You can't stay.
I don't want to stay. I want to go with you.
What's going to happen? And he said, it's just all in the eyes. That was it.
That's all I ended up in the same.
It's like 15 seconds. Like, oh, how do I literally get on top of him and have sex with him? And maybe he has to get hard, too.
You guys vet that with Ben?
No, we vetted it with Jen.
Sean Levy is breaking down exactly how Jennifer Garner's joke about her ex-husband Ben Affleck in Deadpool and Wolverine came to.
From co-star feuds to marriage-wrecking allegations, Blake Lively is facing more heat than ever. But the worst blow might be Jennifer Garner's quiet, devastating revenge. Jennifer Garner never spoke publicly about the woman rumored to have come between her and Ben Affleck. Until now, one word changed everything. And the internet hasn't stopped talking since the moment Blake was cast as his love interest. Jennifer's instincts told her something. It was the fall of 2009 when the first whispers began faint at first, but persistent to town. Ben Affleck's gritty crime drama set in Boston's underbelly was in production on Screen Affleck, and his co-star Blake Lively shared just a handful of scenes. But behind the cameras, an entirely different narrative was unfolding, one that Hollywood's inner circle has kept tucked away until now.
Chaos. I really did not realize how much more work 3 was going to be than 2. And I've been a little overwhelmed, but he's 5 months old and I think I'm coming out of a fog. At some point, I'm going to have to email all my friends and say,
At the time, Affleck was still very much married to Jennifer Garner, America's sweetheart, and the doting mother of his children. Blake, meanwhile, was a rising starlet from Gossip Girl known for her glamour charm and undeniable magnetism. Their age gap raised eyebrows, their interactions, even more. So what should have been just another professional working relationship quickly became the subject of hushed conversations in trailers and on. Studio lots Blake being cast as his love interest immediately. Raised red flags for Jennifer. Not only was she significantly younger than Ben, but she also had a reputation for forming close bonds with her male co-stars. According to multiple insiders, Affleck became captivated by Lively, drawn to her energy, her wit, and her youthful glow. The two were often seen disappearing for long hours under the guise of rehearsals, and crew members spoke of late-night shoots that conveniently require both. Of them alone, there were quiet walks, offset flirty inside jokes. That sort of easy intimacy that doesn't develop overnight with a dynamic was already unbalanced, and Jennifer knew that could lead to trouble. Their chemistry in the town was undeniable. Too raw. The way they looked at each other on screen was more than acting. It was a spark that couldn't be edited out. But the real drama wasn't written in the script. It was unfolding silently behind the scenes, far from the director's cut. Deep emotional connection and physical closeness, making sure their interactions were as passionate as the script would allow. Sources close to set say Affleck would light up around Lively, his mood lifting in her presence. They exchanged glances that lingered just a beat too long. Whispers spread like wildfire through the crew. Was this more than just method acting once filming wrapped? And the press tour began. Jennifer's worst fears started materializing. Ben and Blake were not just playing roles anymore. The way they interacted in interviews made it clear that their connection had gone beyond the script. Jennifer Garner, though miles away with their children, felt it. Friends say she noticed Ben's emotional withdrawal almost instantly. There were long nights, canceled calls, vague answers, and a growing chasm that no marriage counseling could bridge. Though she never publicly addressed the rumors, those close to her say the town was the beginning of the end.
Logistics of the physicality, but you forget, like, oh, I just need to act.
Mm-hmm.
And he reminded me, not so helpful.
When Affleck and Garner officially split in 2015, headlines blamed everything from his drinking to his rumor affair with the nanny. But behind closed doors, Garner had long suspected that set that filmed that woman, Blake Lively, for her part, moved on quickly just a year later. She was making headlines again, this time for cozying up with Ryan Reynolds, her Green Lantern co-star, and now husband. But some say her fling with Affleck was far more than a blip. It was a calculated leap, a test of her power. Both in Hollywood and behind closed doors over the years, Affleck has spoken about regret, addiction, and the toll fame took on his marriage. But one thing he's never addressed: the rumors about Blake. Maybe he thought time would erase them. Maybe he believed silence was safer. But in Hollywood, secrets have a shelf life, and this one's just been ripped off the back burner.
In 15 seconds and done. I'm like, well, maybe. But at any rate, just go in and just, if it takes 20 minutes, just take 20 minutes.
But now, with renewed interest in the messy histories of Hollywood power players, the story has resurfaced with vengeance, and fans are connecting the dots in ways they hadn't before. Was Blake Lively the other woman, or was she a convenient scapegoat for a marriage already crumbling? One thing is certain: what happened during the filming of The Town was far more scandalous than anyone was willing to admit, and it's finally coming to light often, developing intense connections that extended beyond the set.
Thank you, Jennifer.
For over a decade, Jennifer Garner was the epitome of quiet dignity through tabloid frenzies, paparazzi chaos, and the slow public unraveling of her marriage to Ben Affleck. She remained poised, graceful mute on the rumors. Even when the whispers of an alleged onset affair between Affleck and Blake, Lively grew deafening. Garner said nothing. She kept smiling, kept parenting, kept working. But as it turns out, she was never blind, just biding her time, and suddenly just friends who quickly became something more
miserable experience.
What, testing?
Yeah, and
Had you tested to be in the movie?
No.
You've done a year's worth of alias. I imagine that's one long test for that.
No, but it's for your comfort, really. And I don't know if I've ever thanked you for.
Fast forward to now, and that silence shattered with a single word in what was supposed to be a lighthearted interview segment. Jennifer Garner dropped a comment that felt like a thunderclap across Hollywood. With a tight-lipped smile and a glint in her eye, she referred to Blake Lively not by name, but as of which the room chuckled, but the internet, it exploded because everyone knew who she meant.
Smith starts making fun of Affleck.
And I feel like I might have to kick your ass.
Blake did nothing to downplay the rumors. Instead, she spoke about Ben with a level of admiration that felt excessive. She praised his directing skills, calling him a genius, and crediting him with pushing her to be a better actress. While compliments were normal in Hollywood, the way she talked about him felt more personal than professional. At first glance, it might have seemed like an offhand joke, but to anyone familiar with the decade long, tension in the quiet storm Garner had weathered that word was no accident. It was a seismic emotional release, one word sharp loaded and decades overdue, turned into a full-blown pop culture reckoning. She knew what it looked like when Ben found himself drawn to another woman after all her relationship with him had started under similarly suspicious circumstances. For years, Garner was a woman who never spoke ill of her ex-husband, even after their divorce, even after the nanny scandal, even as Affleck publicly spiraled and rebounded, and while Lively soared. From Gossip Girl darling to one half of Hollywood's most beloved couple with Ryan Reynolds, Garner kept her peace. But that one word, which wasn't just a dig, it was a reckoning. Fans who had watched her bite her tongue for years felt vindicated. She always knew, one commenter wrote. This wasn't shade, this was a torch set to 10 years of silence, and that might bring Ben back into Blake's world. The decision was not about jealousy. It was about protecting herself from another painful cycle of doubt and betrayal Jennifer had learned from experience, and she was not willing to go through it again behind closed doors. Insiders say Garner was deeply hurt by what happened during The Town. She saw the change in Affleck, felt the shift in his affection, knew something had been broken, and though the public never got a confirmation of what exactly went down between Affleck and Lively, Garner subtle war cry confirmed what many long believed: Blake Lively was more than just a co-star. She was a ghost in the marriage. Instead, she watched and waited, collecting evidence in the form of small details and subtle changes in his behavior, which not home wrecker, not that woman, just one word. But it hit harder than any tell all book or confessional podcast ever could, because it wasn't about insults, it was about truth coated in pain and wrapped in a decade of quiet suffering. What made it more brutal was how calmly it was delivered. No tears, no anger, just a quiet, lethal acknowledgement of the past. It wasn't the sound of a woman seeking revenge. It was the sound of a woman who no longer needed to protect a lie.
Dressed Jen reprising her role as Elektra, and a particular jab that caught the attention of Marvel fans. During one scene, Ryan Reynolds' character expresses his condolences over the death of Elektra's love interest, Daredevil, played by Ben.
Social media went into overdrive. Theories were reborn. Old interviews were dissected. Clips from The Town went viral again. Fans rewatching every glance between Affleck and Lively like detectives revisiting a cold case. And as for Blake, she said nothing, not a word, but insiders say she was stunned by the comment, caught completely off guard. After all she'd moved on, married, built an empire. The past of her was buried, but Garner's words unearthed. And because in Hollywood, no rumor ever really dies some. Just wait for the perfect moment to rise again.
He was later caught having an affair with their children's nanny, which ultimately led to their divorce in 2018.
Blake's carefully curated image of the sweet, stylish, effortlessly charming starlet who won Ryan Reynolds' heart and traded Hollywood chaos for picture-perfect family life is cracking under pressure, and the timing disastrous it all started with the town and never really ended whispers of her entanglement with Ben Affleck during his marriage to Jennifer Garner have lingered like smoke in a closed room lively never acknowledged them no. Statements, no interviews, just red carpet smiles, and clever. Instagram captions, especially considering that Ryan was still very much a married man, the secrecy surrounding their late-night disappearances made it all the more obvious that something was going on behind closed doors. But what confirmed their suspicions was what happened at the Green Lantern premiere. But Hollywood never forgets fast forward to Green Lantern, where her on-screen chemistry with Ryan Reynolds was so intense it reportedly lit a fuse in his marriage to Scarlett Johansson behind the scene. Scarlett was said to be livid. The set insiders claim became a pressure cooker to actors falling for each other. While one wore a wedding ring to Johansson, Reynolds' divorce came swiftly afterward, with rumors pointing fingers at Lively as the final straw.
Aldoni, by the sounds of things, got completely shafted in this one. So if all of this is true, he's 100% justified in suing her.
The accusations are chilling, especially when contrasted with the couple's relentless image as wholesome, honest, and refreshingly normal. They've carefully crafted a narrative of a love that blossomed from heartbreak, a story of second chances. But if that love began with deceit, what does that say about everything they've marketed since?